But I want to thank all of you for being here this afternoon. Thank you so much for showing up. Thank you, Sabina, for telling us very clearly to show up all the time. Baba, personal branding. Amasewa, who spoke about public speaking. Every time I'm in the presence of these women, I learn something new. And so thank you all very much. And thank you to... Oh, please do it well. And thank you to Amma Pratt and her team for putting this together. So aside of what I do at Akosombo Textiles, I am a writer. And what a writer does is a writer tells stories. And so today I'm going to tell you a story. Once upon a time, there were a couple of trees, and these trees wanted to find a king. And they said to the olive tree, "Be our king." But the olive tree replied to them, "Should I stop producing my own oil, which is how gods and humans are honored, so that I can sway over trees?" So the trees went to the fig tree and asked, "You come and be king over us." And the fig tree replied, "Should I stop producing my sweetness and my delicious fruits so that I can sway over trees?" Then the trees went to the vine. "You come and be king over us." But the vine replied to them, "Should I stop providing my wine, what makes gods and humans happy, so I can go and sway over trees?" Finally, all the trees went to the bramble and said, "Come and be king over us." And the bramble replied to the trees, "If you're acting faithfully and anointing me king over you, come and take shelter in my shade. But if not, fire will come out of the bramble and burn up the cedars of Lebanon." In this story, a forest of trees are looking for a leader. They recognize their need for vision, direction, guidance, and leadership. And I can imagine that as all of us human beings will do, when we recognize that we have a challenge, we go ahead and try and find a solution. And these trees went around looking for eligible candidates to become the leader of the pack. Maybe they did this frantically, maybe they did it calmly, but they were searching. Within their immediate reach, they had a few eligible candidates. And the story reports that they went to the olive, they went to the vine, and they went to the fig tree. But all of these eligible candidates were not willing. And you would say to me, "Petra, what's the big deal if they were not willing?" That's not the issue. The olive felt very high and mighty in her current role. She was comfortable and didn't see why, in her own words, she should move away from something that was so honorable to do something so basic. The narration is the same for the fig and the vine. Essentially, they all turned down the opportunity, but entered the bramble. The bramble is a thorny plant. It may have flowers that look beautiful, but essentially, experiencing the bramble is not very comfortable. But in this story of choosing a leader, the bramble was willing and available, and the bramble agreed. But beyond agreeing to be the leader, the bramble issued a threat that said, "If you don't install me as your king, fire will burn you." But I'm not going to focus on the bramble today. I want to focus on the olive, the vine, and the fig tree. These are the ones that had an attractiveness about them, but they were not willing. And when we're talking about leadership today, those two important words are what I want to drive home. Attractiveness and potential on one side, but willingness on the other side. In 2020, Africa's population under the age of 35 has been estimated to be about half of the continent's population. So in Africa, 50% of us are under the age of 35. That's about 1 billion people. And 22.7% of the young people in the world are from Africa. It is estimated that by 2100, the year 2100, twice the entire population of Europe would be young people, will be equal to the young people in Africa. And when we look at Africa's challenges, we can point to them very easily, isn't it? We think about things like healthcare, education, sanitation, poverty, the divide between the haves and the have-nots. We think about corruption, greed, and avarice, and we can extend that list by a mile. And we persistently wonder, as African young people, if these problems can be solved. And I think about not just solved, but can they be solved in my lifetime? The fig tree, the olive tree, and the vine. They could, but they decided not to. And my issue with them is not that they decided not to, or to move away from their nice, comfortable existence. But my issue with them was their lack of interest in solving the immediate problems of their environment. And you wonder why that is even a problem. It's a problem because the African situation is so dire that we cannot be comfortable and say that we will not do it. And I know when we say leadership, for a lot of you, the first thing that comes to mind is political leadership. But move your minds away from that gradually. Today, I want to talk to you about leadership at all levels. Leadership that says that you must influence your immediate community. Leadership that says that you must lead and be disciplined as your own self. And leadership that says that you must influence change in whichever way you can. So yes, there are problems in our country, there are problems on our continent. And I want to submit to you that one of the ways to solve those problems is by taking up leadership. In 3 key ways. Lead by influencing your circle of friends. One of the things about our culture is that we have a very interesting culture of wanting to be liked. And so when people around us are not doing the right thing, we don't want to say it because we are scared not to be liked, isn't it? But the thing about being a leader is that sometimes you may be unpopular. You're not jollof rice. Everybody will not like you. So if you want to be a leader, or you want to consider leadership as a way to help our continent solve problems, then consider the fact that there are times where you will not be liked. The second thing about leadership is that you must lead from a tested value system. In life, your principles and your values will create a map for what you do and what you do not do. Your values will create a guide for the things that you accept and the things that you will not accept. And so I want to suggest to you that one of the values of leadership that you can consider very strongly as a young person is the value of service. In Africa, one of the very interesting things when we think about leadership immediately is privilege. The leader is the one who sits in front. The leader is the one who has all the nice perks. The leader is the one who has the big titles. Maybe that's one of our challenges. So let's think about leadership also as service to the people. And the third thing I want to talk about in relation to leadership is, as young people thinking about taking up responsibility in society, think about leadership as compassion. Compassion for the people that you lead, compassion for the people that you meet, compassion for the people you need to help. All great leaders are leaders who actually leave the people that they interact with being better. So let me also say that leadership is about people. And if leadership is about people and you need people to influence what you do or people to help you execute what you want to achieve, then we can also talk about how important networking is. So networking is essentially your ability to initiate, engage, and grow relationships. Networking is important because we need people to get to the goals we want to achieve, and people need us also. So building a thriving network requires that you offer your skill set, your time, your values, and your energy to other members of your network. Interestingly, in preparing for today, I spoke with a young lady and I said to her, give me a few questions you have around networking and the things you want to know. And so Linda Eshen sent me 10 questions that I've compressed into 5 that I'm going to share with you today. And I'm hoping that these questions will answer the questions that you have. Her first question is, after you have connected with people for the first time, how do you follow up with them without being needy? And the simple answer to that is, don't ask them for money. And don't ask them for anything in the initial startup of your relationship. Be simply content with knowing them and them knowing you. And I know that lots of you are looking at me and wondering, Petra, how is that even possible when I have so many problems that I need solutions to? And we have a very interesting saying in Ghana that goes like, when you sell your problem, that's when you get a solution. As much as it's tempting, don't sell your problem to the person the first time you meet them. That is how you present yourself as being needy. Secondly, after the initial meeting, it's okay to send a short message. So if we meet today, within the next 24 hours, send a message that says, hello Petra, I'm Akosia. We met at Obaasima and Koforidua. It was nice to meet you. To re-establish contact. And please don't fall into the temptation of being too wordy. And don't do hello after 5 hours, hi, after 2 hours, hello, and we are going back and forth saying hello and hi. Go straight to the point with what you want to say. The second question she asked is, how should an introverted individual network? And is networking only for extroverts? And I feel that this is the most important question for me, because I started off very terrified about meeting people for the first time. When I started off in my sales job all those years ago, one of the most difficult things for me to do was to walk up to people I don't know and introduce myself. I would literally want to run out of the room every time that opportunity came. So no, networking is not only for extroverts. Networking is for everyone. Because we are all interconnected as human beings and we all need to relate to other people. So think about networking as a muscle. Every time you do it, you get better at it. Every time you try, you get better at it. But if you don't try, you will never get better. Networking is not what we say in Chi Ahosheshe. Networking is primarily you trying to make new acquaintances, re-establish contact with existing acquaintances, and to grow those relationships. And I would say again, networking is not about you pouring all your problems on the people that you meet. Her third question, how does one manage the already limited resources of time whilst building relationships and getting to know people? And I thought that was a very good question in relation to adulting. Because you're thinking about all the work you have to do, Amma. Where are you going to meet new friends? When are you going to have time to meet new people? And my answer to her, thinking about how you're also going to be time trapped at some point, starts with where you are. If you attend an event, get to know the people around you. If you're in the lecture room, get to know the people around you. It's okay to have your clique of friends, but you never know who the person sitting beside you in the room is or who they will be. So introduce yourself, get to know them, and start from there. That's a simple way to get around the time issue. Question number 4. Is social networking more effective than physical networking? And she also asked that, is social networking a lazy way to go about networking? Social networking, essentially, what we mean in this context is using social media tools to get to know people. It's a wonderful way of meeting people. It helps if you are direct, it helps if you are respectful, it helps if you are clear. But you need to try and move those relationships, if you can, from just being virtual to being real, in-person relationships. Because trust me, there are times you think that I have maybe close to 4,200 friends on Facebook. And I think that they are my friends, but they may not necessarily be your friends. You have to intentionally work on building those relationships to make them actual relationships. But be engaged online. Don't be the person who just posts. When people comment, you don't respond, you don't engage, and you assume that you have friends. Those are not friends. And the more you become influential, you need to be able to identify clearly who your friends are and who your fans are. Your fans are the people who are excited about you. They're the ones who want to know everything that is going on with you. But your friends are the ones who actually tell you the truth. So know the difference and know how you open up yourself to the both worlds. So if you already have friends if you're already on friends on Facebook with someone, for instance, you can say yes, you're acquainted with them, but are they really a member of your network? Because networking also means not just who you know, but who knows you. So think about it that way. And her final question, question 5, how do you make a great first impression? And I'll say 3 things. Outside of how you look, clean and put together, the next most important thing is introduce yourself confidently. Your name is such a powerful thing about your personality. Even if you don't like your name, mention it confidently. I know there are some of you who may be thinking, oh, maybe my name is difficult to pronounce, or when I mention my name, people will ask me things about it. Maybe where are you from? What does it mean? Develop the attitude of liking the sound of your name. When I was very young, and I think before I was 7, I went home one day and I told my parents, my name is not Petra, my name is Petra. And I remember that scene very clearly because it was odd. Petra is the English pronunciation of a Scandinavian name, Petra. And I was giving the name because my dad trained in Germany, so everybody called me Petra. But as a young child, I determined how I wanted my name to be pronounced. And so I still meet people who say to me, oh, is your name Patra, Perpetua, Petral? And I clearly tell them, my name is Petra. So be very, very emphatic and be very confident about how you mention your name. It is part of your personality, it's part of your identity. And so one of the things I do is instead of saying my name is, I would say I am Petra Obaasima. I feel that using the I am gives me extra energy. You can try it too. So let's go together. Say I am and mention your name. I am. And then try the my name is. You see the difference? Okay. So starting from today, try the 2 and decide the one that works for you. Another thing that you need to do in making a good first impression, look at people when you speak to them. Sabina said something about packing humility. And I know that some of you sitting here are like, hey, this woman, does she know that we're in Ghana? Does she know that they'll tell you you're arrogant? Does she know that they'll tell you you don't respect? We know all of that. But this is the thing. Anyone who has achieved greatness hasn't been like everybody else. There's an audacity you need to do things that will make you succeed, that people who are shy, unnecessarily humble, will not achieve. So yes, there's a time to pack humility and be bold and confident and look at people in the eye when you speak to them. When handshaking comes back to being a thing, I don't remember the last time I shook somebody's hand. Shake the person firmly. I see a lot of young Ghanaian women shaking hands and it's like their hand doesn't have any bones in it. A firm handshake is an expression of confidence. It tells the other person, I know who I am, I'm proud of who I am, and I'm showing up today. So the first thing was what? Mention your name with confidence. Look at people when you're speaking to them. Give a firm handshake. Finally, be a good conversationalist. If you want to be memorable, know what to say. Being a good conversationalist hinges on the fact that you also have to have information. You cannot be a good conversationalist if you don't have anything to say. And one of the ways of gathering knowledge is by reading. Read relevant material. Read material around the things that you do. If you're studying engineering, know about your industry, know about your environment, know about the other things going on in the environment, in the industry around you. Be knowledgeable. That is how you are a good conversationalist. Because if we meet the first time and we're talking about what's the most recent thing, maybe Ghana qualifying for the World Cup, and we're talking about the qualification game, and there was a game between Ghana and who? Pardon? Nigeria. And somebody is sitting here and wondering, what are we talking about? You don't have to like football to know what the current issues are. Just be aware. Because as you try to develop a network, meeting new people, conversations come up. By all means, you can avoid controversial conversations like religion and politics. Don't go and meet somebody and the first time you see them, hey, as for these people who are in this religion, I don't like them all. Or you talk about people's ethnicity. There are conversations you should stay away from until you're very sure about where people's perspectives lie. It doesn't mean you shouldn't say what you think. And a good conversationalist doesn't mean you're the only one talking. Be comfortable with listening to other people as well. If you're the only one talking all the time, nobody wants to talk to you. So it's a couple of things. Be knowledgeable, listen, and know what's going on around you. In conclusion, the story that I shared of the Bramble is from the Christian Bible, Judges 9, 8 to 15. But if you don't remember anything we've said here today, this is what I want to leave you with. It is not knowing what to do that matters. It is doing what you know. Very often whilst we're in school, especially when we're about to leave school, we attend personal development events, we listen to things, and we are piling up on certificates because we believe that those certificates will help us get jobs. What we are trying to achieve here today is that when you leave here, decide on what you are going to change. What you are going to change about yourself, what you are going to change about what you do, how you do it, where you go, what you don't say and what you say. Decide on what you're going to do to improve the community around you, the people that you serve. If you're a leader here, positional leader, a leader at work, decide on how you're going to impact the people that you work with, beyond just having your title. Because essentially, practice is what makes us perfect. And knowing is not enough. Doing is what matters. Thank you.